Hello everyone. This is going to be a video tutorial on how to do Ipnysh Sanctuary without using any of the glitches. In the video, I'm going to talk about the boss mechanics, the ones that are important for you to understand, and um, things that will make or break your run. And throughout the video, I am going to pause at certain times so that I can use my drawing tool to explain. Um, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So here, the first room, there will be a series of 4 bosses. You already know this. Um, the first boss is going to be the basic Agile Taurus. This boss only has like a few attack patterns, which is one, the charge ability, where he like pushes in a line, and if you were to get hit by it, you'll get knocked up into the air. And if you're knocked into the air, once these lasers over here activate, they will start shooting you in the air and it'll start doing more damage. So realistically, for this first boss, the first bull, you just want to dodge all of the mechanics that you see. So the boss will have the charge ability. He will also sometimes turn around and kick you with his back legs. And also there will be a stomp where you'll see a cast bar similar to right here. When it gets to like the end and the boss like slams onto the ground, you need to be jumping so that you don't get knocked up into the air as well. So this boss basically just um, this bull, the first Agile Taurus, will basically just knock you into the air. And then throughout the fight, the boss will summon, like at a certain percent HP, a ghost of the Agile Taurus will spawn, and it would just have the same exact mechanics as the real um, Agile Taurus. So as you can see, I didn't jump there, and then it knocks you into the air, right? And the laser starts shooting you. One thing to note is all of these ghost bulls or the rams, they don't take any damage. So the healer that's playing songs and healing will always draw aggro, as well as these like little raptors down here. These raptors, like, they just walk up to you and then they stun or trip. Um, so as a healer, what you're gonna want to do is just run around the keep playing songs and make sure you don't get like hit by any of the mechanics. So like you don't want to get auto attacked by the raptors, and you also don't want to get like hit by the mechanics from the ghost, as well as dodging the mechanics of the real boss. We do a lot of damage here, so the boss dies rather quickly, so you don't see a lot of the mechanics. Moving on, the next boss will be the sturdy Taurus or the sturdy ram. This boss has a slightly different mechanics. Uh, there will be like line attacks, like you see it here. I am very tanky, so I choose to tank it to give myself metal stacks so that I can hit the boss hard, as you'll see here. But realistically, you don't want to be hit by any of these things. And then this boss will also walk and melee when it gets close. So these are the things that will one-shot you if you're not very geared. So I would just recommend dodging all the stuff, right? This boss also spawns a ghost version of itself that has the same exact mechanics, so you also have to pay attention to that. The ghost will always aggro onto the healer eventually, once the healer starts healing people and generating aggro. The boss also spawns these little spider minions over here. They, after a certain period of time, they'll explode. They'll jump to the nearest person, whoever has aggro, usually the healer. They'll explode, and then if you're in the range of the explosion, you'll be tripped. So what you can do is just have someone just tag all of these like a basic bow shot, or like just hit them if they're like overwhelming. Moving on to the third boss. This one is very, very simple. There's just like these little spikes that happen uh, on the outside ring, like this, like these little squares. There'll be little spikes that pop up. It'll do damage. It's not a lot of damage, so feel free to like walk into them as long as your healers are healing you. The healer will usually have to like run around this edge like this because there will be a ghost of the sturdy Taurus that spawns, and it will chase the healer around. As a tank, whoever is tanking this main boss, you want to stay with like stand on this line here. like this red line that I'm drawing now. You want to stand like in this area, because if you're too far, actually it doesn't matter if you're too far, but if you're a melee, if you're too far out of the range, then you won't be able to like hit the boss. But if you're too close, the boss will like do an AoE push that like trips everybody. So you want to make sure you're not within this like red box if you're tanking the boss or if you have aggro. So as you see, I'm the tank, right? I'm melee. I'm staying in melee range. I'm just like hugging like this little outer ledge. And then if you were to get hit by this little cannon, it pushes you back and it trips you. And also summons these spiders, right? So these spider mobs will, if you don't hit them to force them to blow up, they will jump onto the person that they're aggroed on and then stun them. Usually it will be the healer, causing them to die to the ghost of the bull that will spawn eventually here. Right, so they blew up, tricked me, and then you see the ghost of the sturdy Taurus ghost. You see how it immediately locks onto the healer because she's playing songs, healing, and whatever. Yeah. Now moving on to the final boss. This bull is basically a combination of the first two bulls, and it shares like it has like the same mechanics, basically, but of all the bulls combined. And then as you're killing the boss, when it gets to like a certain percent HP, it'll start summoning ghosts. Right, our group's DPS is really high, so we get it to very low HP, and all the ghosts summon at the same time. If you feel like you're overwhelmed, like your group doesn't have a lot of damage, just take it slow, slowly DPS, and then when it gets to like a certain percentage, it'll summon some ghosts, and the ghosts will like linger for like maybe 90 seconds or so. So if you're like not as strong and or like your group is having trouble dodging all the mechanics, you can definitely just like slow DPS this boss to make it easier for yourselves, and the ghost will despawn, and then it'll be much easier, so you don't have to dodge too many bulls at the same time, right? So you can see like it does get a little hectic. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of people getting hit by mechanics, but we have a lot of damage, so we can like kind of like speed run through it. I'm also very tanky, so I can like tank a lot of the hits. And that's the first room, all 4 bosses. Okay, moving on. We are on the second boss here. What you will need for this boss is 2 people to tank, so 2 people with the defense tree. It doesn't matter if you're ranged, melee, or whatever, as long as you have Miss Retribution from defense, right, to hold aggro of the boss. So this boss here, I'm going to explain a little bit about the mechanics, the ones that are really, really important. It has like a lot of different attacks, but the main ones to look out for is Horizontal Strike from the light boss, and then Impaling Strike from the dark boss, right? Those are the 2 abilities that you need to get hit by. Either you can either get a little text that says parry, block, or evade, but it needs to like, the attack needs to hit you. And the best place to stand, because if you're standing like right here in front of the boss actually, the hitbox of the ability is a little bit further, like this in a cone. So you want to stand a little bit further back instead of like being right on top of the boss, or else you won't get hit by the ability. And when if the boss doesn't hit anyone with their horizontal strike or their impaling strike, then the boss gains a stacking buff that makes them take less damage and also do more damage. So you want to make sure you're getting hit by that ability all the time, like whoever the tank is. The way we do it, this group, we have 4 people hitting 1 boss, and then we'll get this boss low, and then there will be a mechanic that switches, and then once it switches, everyone switches to the next boss. So I guess we'll just play it so that you can see. But before we start the boss itself, like each boss has this like 1 buff here, right? You'll see it. It has like this icon, and also like X 10,000. So that means it has a 10,000 HP shield on it before the fight starts. And what that shield does is when it gets hit by somebody, when somebody hits that boss with the shield, it'll give you a buff that makes it so that you take less damage from that specific colored boss, right? So you'll see here, once we start, the healer starts to battle him. And then as she's battle hymning, we all bow shot the boss, right? So you'll see me bow shot, and then you'll see this light come to me, and it'll leave a little ball of light on top of my head, indicating that this is the buff that I have. I have the light buff now from hitting the light boss. But the boss only has a 10,000 shield, HP shield, so that you don't want to hit the boss like with a very hard hitting ability, because you want to make sure that everyone else can get the buff too. So you'll see here, I hit the boss with the bow shot, everyone else is going to shoot it with a bow shot, right, to get the buff. So now I have the light orb over my head, and so do all of my teammates that are hitting this boss. And then the person that's tanking the dark boss has a little dark orb over their head, making it so that if you have the color of the boss, then the boss won't do as much damage to you. So these are just like random mechanics, like the boss will do summon light. When the boss is doing summon light, you want to make sure you are stacked under the boss so that you don't get a dot that also makes it so that you can't get healed, right? So you'll notice here that the people that stack don't get the debuff, but WPZ doesn't, this player right here didn't stack, and now he has a debuff on him that makes it so that he can't be healed, and he also takes like dot damage. We do a lot of damage here to the boss, so it's burning rather quickly, so you're not going to see all the mechanics. So after 50% HP on the boss will eventually do a mechanic where he summons these pillars, and each boss can do this when they reach that threshold. So it could happen multiple times throughout the fight, but for our run here, we have enough damage to make it so that we only get one. So when this happens, the bosses will spawn different color lights on each side. So one side will be all light, right? It'll be light, 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 right? And the other side will have the dark pillars, and they can spawn on either side. It doesn't matter. Like this side, it's random which side the light spawns on. So if you have the light color orb, then you want to walk up to one of these pillars and interact with it to get the shield. So you'll see me, I walk up, interact, I get the shield. And what happens when this mechanic ends is, you see this orb drop on the floor. What happens is the color of your orb will change to the opposite color. So if you are light at the start, when this ball lands on the middle, your orb will turn dark if you started with light. And what happens in this mechanic is like the tanks need to swap. They need to swap which boss they're holding. So I'm gonna swap to the dark one, and the person that was tanking the dark one will swap to the light one. And the best way to do it is to have an ability to taunt. So boastful roar is usually the ability you want to use. So once this changes, you'll see that my orb is now dark, and then I'm tanking the dark one, and the person that was tanking the dark one now is tanking the light one. Like these are going to be like random attacks that he's going to do. It's okay. So you'll see here, I purposely didn't take this attack so that you can see. So Impaling Strike is one of the abilities, right? Is the main ability for the dark boss that you need to get hit by, and then Horizontal Strike is the main ability from the light boss that you need to get hit by. But this is what happens when you don't get hit by the Impaling Strike or the Horizontal Strike, right? So it's gonna miss, and then you'll see that he gets a stack, and I show it to you right here. This buff right here, it says decreases received damage by 30% and increases seal damage by 30%, except for siege damage. So each time you don't get hit by that, the boss will gain 1 stack of this. And when it gets to like 3 stacks, you literally can't do damage to the boss. It'll like start hitting for like 1s and stuff like that. So just make sure you want to get hit by that Impaling Strike ability and also Horizontal Strike ability from the light boss. That way the boss doesn't get this buff, and then you can like do damage to it. And that's pretty much it. Like most of it is just like making sure you're tanking the boss away from face the boss away from each other, because they have long range abilities. So you don't want to aim abilities from the dark boss towards the people that have the light orb, and the same with like the light boss. If you're tanking the light boss, you don't want to aim the long range ability from the light boss towards the person that's tanking, or like that have the dark orb, and vice versa. So what happens here is you just like have to DPS them down at the same exact time, kind of like the T2 Joel Amina Glenn. When the boss gets down to 5% HP, it'll become uh, downed like this. He's like on his knee, right? Um, and you just want to make sure you kill them both at the same time. If you don't kill them, if you don't bring them both down to 5% HP at the same exact time, then one of the bosses will revive the other one and bring them back up to like 20%. So basically the same thing as Jolomino Glen. You just need to kill them at the same time. So just pay attention to that. Okay, now moving on to the final boss. This boss is rather simple. It's just like a lot of abilities on the floor that you're gonna want to dodge. Um, you'll notice this. It's actually a lot of different attacks. You'll see them in this video. So the first one will be Searing Rain. It's just like fire that's left on the floor. This is not as much, but the Fire Pillar, this ability right here, can do a lot of damage, and it also knocks you up in the air. So if you're not very geared, it will hit very hard. And also if you're stacked on top of each other, it targets this ability, Fire Pillar, will target 4 random people, and then it'll shoot a Fire Pillar under their feet, which knocks people up. But if you like have multiple people stacked on top of each other, then you can have multiple Fire Pillars exploding at the same time. So you need to want to make sure like people are kind of spread out for this if you're not very geared, so that you're not going to hit multiple times by the Fire Pillar. So you'll see here, right? It just targets 4 random people. It'll blow up, and then if you're like double stacked, then it could shoot twice on the same spot, and you can take double the damage. Okay, lightning spiral. This is just like a little rotating lightning thing you don't want to get hit by. And then after the lightning spiral happens, one person will get chosen for this ability, Lightning Strike. And what happens here is one person will be marked with a big blue circle under their feet, right? Everyone should be able to see the big blue circle. And what you need to do is make sure that you share the damage, right? So if only one person gets hit in that blue circle, then he'll take the full amount of damage and they'll die. But you can soak the damage and share the damage amongst everybody, and then the damage is shared and everyone should live. So just make sure when the person has like a blue circle under their feet from Lightning Strike, you want to make sure to stack on top of them so that they don't get one shot. So you see how like we all bundle in, and then boom, like there's no damage, right? So this is going to be one of the raid wipe mechanics. It's called Blight of Doom. It happens when the boss gets below 40% HP. It will start casting this one-shot ability that kills the whole raid. And what you need to do in this situation is you'll see these pillars. It's very important when you come in and you see these like fire pillars that you that your raid or your team figures out who is going to which pillar. Like there's one over here as well, so there's 5. There will always be 5. Because what this pillar does is it'll leave a immunity zone for you to survive this Light of Doom, but you can't have more than 1 person per circle, or else 1 person will guarantee die, right? So you'll see here, I actually don't make it to my circle, but my healer was able to give me an immune bubble, right? Because we didn't discuss which bubble we're going to, and then 2 people try to go to this one. So now I'm just like, whatever. I just tank the damage or try to, but my healer is able to give me the immunity from her necklace, right? So everyone survives, and then right immediately after the Light of Doom, the boss will start summoning healing orbs on like a 20-second or so cooldown. So every 20 seconds or so, the boss will summon these healing orbs here that you'll see. Right, and these healing orbs heal for a lot, so you need to make sure your ranged DPS are switching to them to kill them immediately. If you're a melee DPS, you want to make sure you have lasso to pull them down, like I do here. I pull it into the ground so that we can hit it. But you want to make sure to kill these as fast as possible. And then Lightning Strike happens again, and then it'll just be like a rotation of these abilities. There will also be like magma orbs that like shoot out from the outside that come in, and then there will also be magma orbs that shoot out from the inside coming out. So just make sure you're like dodging those abilities. And that's about it. One thing that's important, actually, I'm gonna go back a little. So you'll see here, let me see. Okay, so this ability, right hand slam or left hand slam, the boss will raise his arm and then slam in front of him. You just want to make sure someone in the raid or on the party tanks that hit. Otherwise, the boss will gain a stack of enrage, and when it gets to 5 stacks of enrage, he'll do way more damage. He'll also be immune to damage for like a short period of time. So you want to make sure like someone tanks these hits. But when you do tank the hit, you'll get a stacking debuff for yourself, right? So he slams. Anyone that gets hit by it will get this like, little curse debuff, which makes you slower, and also you take a little bit more damage. And the way to cleanse it is to run up to one of these pillars and interact with it. It's okay to get like 3 or 4 stacks, but when it gets to like 4 stacks, you kind of want to clear it so that you can like remove that debuff on you. One thing to pay attention to though is once you interact with this fire pillar, this pillar goes on cooldown for like I think 15-20 seconds or so. So if it's on cooldown when Light of Doom happens, it won't give you the little immunity circle to stand on. So you just want to like kind of pay attention to how frequently you use this fire pillar, and don't like overuse it, or you don't like use it before the Light of Doom. But that's basically it for this boss and the mechanics. I know there's a lot of information, so I would suggest asking questions if you don't know, and I'll try my best to answer them. I'll probably miss some things as well because we're doing so much damage to the boss that he doesn't do like every single mechanic that he can do. But most of it is just making sure you're killing the healing orbs as soon as they come up. You're doing the Light of Doom mechanic correctly, and making sure you don't lose people to the lightning strike. And then everything else is just you're just dodging. Like you don't want to stand in lava, you don't want to get hit by things that are rolling at you. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much, and good luck with your runs. Take care.